Hi, everyone, and welcome to this exclusive panel discussion at Showhome Live, in which we'll be discussing smart homes and connected living, and more specifically, the opportunity that this entails for house builders. As consumer demand for smart homes and connected living continues to surge, the sector may feel it's a constant challenge to keep up. But smart homes offer a fantastic opportunity to drive commercial value, whether you are operating in the build to sell or build to rent market. It is estimated, in fact, that there will be approximately 34.8 million user active households in the smart home market by 2028. So, this obviously represents a huge opportunity for house builders to take full advantage of. To discuss this opportunity further, I'm delighted to be joined by three expert professionals who I will introduce to you now. Firstly, we have Deborah Honig. Hello, Deborah.
Hi, Joseph. Thanks for having me.
Deborah is the Chief Customer Officer at Samsung Electronics. And next, we have Murtaza Bakari, who is the General Manager of Strategic Partnerships UK at Samsung Electronics. Good morning, Murtaza.
Good morning, Joe. You can call me Taz if it's easier, but thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you, Taz. And last but by no means least, we have Mark Werner, who is the Vice President Global Strategies Partnerships at ABB. Good day to you, Mark.
Good day to you, Joseph, and really thank you for having me.
I'd like to begin by exploring and gaining a better understanding of the current smart home landscape. So, Deborah, starting with you, what would you say are some of the key trends and changes in consumer demand that you're observing in the smart home market?
Joseph, thanks for asking that question, because we really are seeing the cost of living impact on consumer demand in this space. Consumers are looking for energy efficiency in their homes now more than ever, really to reduce the costs in the near term and really lessen their environmental impact and their draw in the longer term. So I think in addition to energy efficiency, we're seeing security and home management amongst the top three priorities for smart home buyers. I believe a few facts from our Smart Home Buyers Index can really help illustrate the growing demand for smart home technology. Smart Home Buyers Index was developed by a Samsung research partner in 2023. This was done from a survey of 1,000 adults who were looking to move home or buy or rent in the next 5 years, as well as some analysis done on Google search trends over the 12 months before. And what we found there is that consumers were willing to pay more for smart homes, actually an average of 6.5%. And 80% of them were actually considering smart home in their next move, which is quite a sizable amount, with 71% of those saying energy efficiency was a really big reason for that. And I think lastly, but really importantly, 40% of Gen Z said that their next property should be a smart home. So really committed to this space. I think one other thing I'd bring some attention to is a survey we did more recently. It was about 6,000 homes across the UK and Europe. And we were doing this to better understand what we call like an invisible load, creating an invisible load index, which is how people feel about managing their day-to-day life in their homes and how smart technology might actually help. And what we found there was 50% of people found that household tasks and admin actually made them stressed 50% of the time. So quite a large amount of people and a large amount of time stressed by managing the home. The average Brit, so if we come specifically to the UK, said they had 8 tasks in their home on a regular basis that totaled more than 30 hours a week of effort. That's a full-time job nearly. So if you think about that, and then 89% of those Brits said they thought their houses could be managed more efficiently, half of those saying tech could help. So you put this all together, there's really a great demand and need, I think, for smart home technology to not only ease the burden, but also provide new solutions for people to feel less mental load. So I think lots of things to take into account as we move into this space.
I think those are some very interesting observations and findings and some very impressive statistics. So thank you for sharing those, Deborah. Taz, moving on, a question for you. How are you seeing partners and developers that you work with adapting to these changing consumer needs?
Absolutely. I think data helps us all do better and provide better products out into the market. And of course, our customers are also looking at the similar kind of data, and we're all selling to the same kind of people. So what we are seeing more and more is that Samsung's been active in this space, in this area for a while, and about 5-6 years ago, we were seeing most of our customers buy dumb devices or non-smart devices. That has now progressed with the data to having more adoption towards smart home platforms, whereby they're looking to incorporate air source heat pumps, they're looking to incorporate smarter appliances, just to help the end user have a better experience. So, customers like Moda Living, Quintain, Watkin Jones, British Land, London Land, quite a few of our customers have now adopted that technology and have got this in their planning process over the next buildings that they're creating. So it's great for us to see that sort of adoption of technology that helps the end user.
And Mark, would you outline for us some examples of how smart homes are helping to increase energy efficiency?
Yes, we have actually a very great example for that, which we released in November last year. It's a project which is called Brobyholm, which is 30 minutes out of Stockholm. And it's what we think is more or less the smartest community, but also the smartest kind of home available currently, more or less globally. And this is a project we're doing together with Samsung, but also with other partners like SMA and also the housing developer Obos. And we built it a Showhome, actually, a pilot house, which includes all what is possible technology-wise from Samsung, from us, from SMA and the other partners, to really show how this one house could be the smartest house ever, but also the most energy efficient house ever, by combining a lot of different use cases regarding energy saving, but also combining all the technologies like HVAC, like shading together to one holistic use case, so that all the technologies work together to achieve the highest level of energy saving and the highest level of independency from the grid. Because that's the other thing, the community is fully connected, so all the buildings are connected as well, and they share the same PV power with each other. So the idea is really to build a fully independent community and to share the energy within the community in the most smart, but also in the most efficient way, to assure that energy is always used most where it's needed most, and to avoid that any external energy is needed. And this is really, I think, the biggest and greatest example we have here at the moment to show that this really works. And there's much more than just convenience within smart home, but a lot of energy saving and also a lot of increase of the security, which we can show here.
Yeah, I think it's already been made quite obvious just in the short space that we've spoken so far, that there's a huge connection between smart homes and energy efficiency. So to continue and speak about this a little bit more, Deborah, building on what Mark has just shared, how can energy efficient smart homes and appliances actually reduce costs for consumers?
Well, I think it comes from a few things. One is information. So being able to provide consumers the information on what energy is being used when, which I think Mark has laid out will be happening in that community with the integrated technology, not just energy from one particular device, but from everything that is drawing energy in that house. I think automation is another piece. So having smart homes and tools that will allow you to automate the solutions that will lower the energy, especially those that don't compromise your living experience. So, for example, things that might run overnight when energy draw is lower, or when we have access to green energy sources that you don't have to be up to turn on to use, that will happen, that you can pre-program them. And then, of course, like building on that integration and simplicity, right? So integrating all of the things you have in your house and doing it in a really simple manner. So I think that's why, like at Samsung, we're building AI features into our offering to help consumers optimize the use of their appliances and really save time and money in that process. So we use a Smart Things platform that Mark mentioned also as part of that development that really has something called AI energy mode, which can help you reduce consumption on any compatible appliance, up to 15% for refrigerators, for example, or 70% even we've seen in washing machines on certain models. And that's because it can help identify like how heavy your load is, how dirty it is, and then adapt your washing machine cycle to the best environmental use to get that wash done, and even the time if you're willing and able to have it done at the right time when energy costs, for example, or draw might be low on the grid. I think we also give customers a lot of visibility of their energy use through that app. So again, giving people information allows them to start to think about what choices they do. So I think central to us really having this, like smart things for us, we see as a key at Samsung, and in some of our partnerships with other companies. It's one of the largest open ecosystems for consumers to connect any smart home device, allow them to seamlessly connect them and control them with one app. So really, just making it easier for consumers to control things, understand what's using, and set up a routine that can work for them and reduce what they're consuming energy-wise, for example.
And Taz, what is one of the most important areas home builders can focus on when considering energy efficiency technology?
Yes, absolutely. I think when we look at data, what we see, a lot of people are searching what a smart home means, right? What smart technologies do they need to adopt to make it a smart home? And in that search, in the top three is air source heat pumps. That is absolutely a key area where our customers are focused on, home builder customers as well as built to rent customers. And that heat pump market really it's grown exponentially, 64% in 2021, followed by a further 26% growth in 2022. And I think we've all got, as manufacturers ourselves, as home builders, as consumers, as end users, we've all got a general responsibility to decarbonize the stock that we have out in the market and make the world a better place. Sustainability is very much a key agenda for Samsung and, of course, our customers as well. And also very important, as Deborah says, very important to the new wave of buyers that are coming in. That's very, very important to them, where the product is coming from and how it affects the planet. So what we're very proud of is recently we've done a partnership with British Gas, UK's largest energy provider. And of course, they've got a very, very large and skilled workforce, educating the public on what an air source heat pump is, what benefits it brings, and having that kind of partner and taking that joint message into the market, I think will really help us decarbonize the stock in the UK. And that's a key focus for both our companies moving forward, and very much a great delight, I'm sure, to your viewers and our partners in the home building sector, because it's really a key aspect of adoption of technology when it comes to greener living.
I think it is quite apparent that the demand is there, and a multitude of opportunities as well for house builders. I imagine that there are some challenges involved as well, so I'd like to speak a little bit about those now. Mark, what would you say are the common challenges faced by house builders when it comes to integrating smart home technologies into their projects? And do you think that there's a variation, or that it varies between new build and retrofit?
Well, first of all, I think the biggest challenge for everyone who wants to integrate smartness into their home with looking at the current offering available is that a lot of suppliers have their own app to do things. So if you integrate some different technologies in your home, you easily end up with 5, 6, 7, 8 different apps to control your home. And if we talk with our customers, but also having a look at market research on a bigger scale, we see that people definitely don't want that. People want to have one app to control everything. And this is why we partner up with Samsung SmartThings to really have one user interface for everything, to control everything, and not having several user interfaces. And that's even more important if you really want to have a holistic setup and a combination of different systems to really have the highest level of energy saving, but also the highest level of convenience and security. You really have to have the systems connected. And this only works if you have like a holistic setup where everything runs over one platform and one user interface. And that's why we selected and are so proud to be partner with SmartThings here. In addition to that, I think it's very important also to have a system, and as you mentioned before, which works for retrofitting, because not everything is new build, and even more people are retrofitting at the moment. So we consider this as very important as well, and that's why we have an offering which works for both. We have an offering which works for new build, also with fully new cables, but we also have a full Wi-Fi offering of our product. So you do not need to install cables, but you can just work with Wi-Fi products. You can even work with totally wireless switching devices, which are driven by an ocean system where you produce the power to operate them yourself by clicking. Or you just have a power connection and then have everything Wi-Fi based. So these systems combined make it very easy also to retrofit without pulling new cables, which is a big cost factor. And considering cost, the third point is really also considering the new ways of building buildings. We see a big move towards modular construction or prefab, or however you call it, what brings a very high level of prefabrication into building houses. And this is a big bonus for smartness as well, because whatever you produce in the factory in advance, you can also already install the smart home components into that very easy and much, much cheaper than if you do it on site. So considering that, we also invest a lot in making our components even more feasible for modular construction. And this is even a way to, I wouldn't even say socialize smart home a little bit, because it gets much cheaper, because installation gets much cheaper, and it makes it accessible for many more people. So considering solutions for modular construction is the third big part here.
Well, thank you, Mark. I think it is reassuring to hear that despite the three challenges that you mentioned, that there are solutions already there in place. Taz, what are some of the other challenges that you've seen with your partners that you work with, and also how have you overcome them?
Absolutely. I think Mark makes a very good point on sort of wired versus wireless, and we at Samsung are creating more and more products that require less Cat5, less Cat6 cabling, and more sort of working on the wireless side. I think what we see the biggest challenge, of course, for our sort of customers and our partners in the market is early adoption of technology. It needs to be ready. We are having buildings planned in 3-year, 4-year in advance, and having that forward thinking is really crucial to ensure that all the bits and pieces that are going to be coming forward when it comes to technology can be incorporated hassle-free within buildings. And also, I think what we are trying to do is we are acutely aware technology is not cheap. And what we want to do is create a more smoother way of procuring technology and creating an upgrade path for it. So what we've done through our built to rent customers and also some of our built to sell customers is create a refresh model of technology. What they do by over a period of 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years, depending on what technology it is, as we create better versions of things, as our partners create more apps that go with it, make it a bit more sociable and make it a bit more meaningful, we look to create a smoother way of refreshing that technology for our partners so that the end users can have the best possible experience that they possibly can enjoy. So that is really something that we are very much focused on. But yes, of course, back to your question, I think planning and integration is very important for our partners to bear that in mind years in advance.
And Mark, what additional areas would you say of smart home technology should home builders be considering?
Well, adding to what Taz just said, I think it's again very important to not only have a look only on the one home, but also consider opportunities to come to a higher level of connectivity. Connectivity on one hand, on a community perspective, because if you share energy with your neighbors, also based on your demand, if you share also maybe energy for EV charging and others, then this helps a lot to reduce your energy bill. And also with new ideas like bidirectional charging, so you can also use your own EV as a battery for your home, and use that also on a bigger scale. That helps a lot. But also having a remote access to your system. So from a property operator, but also from an installer and from a technician perspective, so that somebody is able to remotely make changes to repair your system without the need to have anybody needing to get into your house is very important. In addition to that, you also should always consider an increased safety as a very big bonus for a smart home system. So specifically, if you add a lot of different sensors to your system, which is very easy, you have a very good way to control access, and you also alarm that there is any unwanted access to your home. But you also can definitely add the highest and newest level of smoke detectors, which are then also fully integrated with the system, and open up the blinds in the case of alarm, maybe even open up your door look in the case of an alarm, so that the fire brigades can easily enter your property. And you can also add more healthy driven sensors like CO2 sensors, so you're always assured to have a good air quality also in your home, and connect that with your HVAC system. So there are a lot of possibilities here. Also important is to add weather information, because knowing the weather forecast moving forward and combining that with your HVAC system and your blinds helps you to work much, much more energy efficient with your system. And last but not least, and this depends a bit on the local legal framework, and this is hopefully being much more unified on a European level moving forward, and also for the UK, is that you're able to really sell the energy you generate as well within your system on a single owner's perspective, but also on a community perspective, because this will definitely be an additional driver here for much more energy efficient setups.
Well, thank you, Mark. That's a wonderful variety there of sort of endless possibilities. Deborah, what would you say is the primary concern for consumers regarding smart home technology?
Well, I think it's probably not surprising to you that I'll say data privacy. So I think in an era of, infinitely more connected and more information that's able to share to give you a better experience, you also have a fear that some of that data will get into the wrong hands or misused. So kind of people need to understand, and we need to regulate and manage how security and the data capture is done with smart tech. There's a new PSTI Act in the UK, which aims to protect consumers by ensuring they have access to a fair, transparent, competitive marketplace for digital services. And that includes measures to enhance data privacy and improve online safety. So obviously, and I hope it's obvious, that consumers can count on Samsung to be fully compliant with that, and other partners that we work with. And that will help. I think another concern will be the complexity of multiple devices from different manufacturers, and being able to understand and integrate that technology. Mark and Taz and myself have talked a bit about SmartThings platform and helping with that, but there's still a job to do to educate people on, the what and how in any part of the smart home technology space. And then benefits. I think, if you dial the clock back 10 years, people weren't sure that the benefits for the price of the technology and the work of integrating it were really clear and compelling. I think today we're definitely starting to see a growing set of benefits that are clearer, and the integration is much more compelling, as we said, around energy savings, some of the things that Mark pointed out around health and safety that you can add on, and then also about the ability to get energy charging in communities, like to get your reliance off the national grid. So I think the benefits are growing. That part we probably are much further advanced on. But I think just helping educate people as we bring this new technology in, and making it simpler for them to integrate it and get those benefits.
And Mark, is there anything else that you would add there to Deborah's answer regarding the primary concerns?
Yeah, maybe one more thing, because I think a lot of people are concerned about the dependency to an internet connectivity for their system. And this is something we solved, though. So the system works with a cloud-to-cloud integration, so you need internet connectivity for that. But that doesn't mean then if internet is not working for a couple of minutes or an hour or whatsoever, for whatever reason, you cannot control your home anymore. So the control of the home within the unit still works with or without internet. So you can still switch on your lights, you can still close and open your door, you can still control your HVAC system also without internet. And as soon as internet connection is back, then the cloud-to-cloud integration works again as well. But you're not lost with a non-connected home suddenly when internet is gone. I think that's also very important.
Well, I think we've identified the growing demand for smart technology and also highlighted the long list of benefits to smart homes. So I'd like to talk a little bit now about the commercial value and return on investment. Taz, how would you say house builders and developers can measure the return on investment of incorporating smart home features into their projects?
Thank you, Joe. That's a very good question. So we've seen a great uptake on smart home incorporation over the past years. The data shows that UK is expected to show a compounded annual growth rate of 11.66%. That is from this year for the next 4 years, and a total 2024 projected revenue of about 11 billion. So, absolutely huge upside for incorporating these kind of technologies within the home builder community. And of course, as Deborah mentioned, we saw that customers, the actual end users, the residents, they are willing to pay an average of 6.5% more uplift in what they are willing to pay for a house, which equates to about £18,000, which is an uplift to an average UK house price of 285,000. So, there's of course a huge upside to incorporating smart technology. Of course, you've got safety and security. So the other flip side of this, the other part of the coin, is incorporating such technologies within the home also give the end user a great amount of energy efficiency savings. So having smart appliances, air source heat pumps, things along those lines, of course, give the running cost drop, which is, of course, a cost saving as well. So people are interested in investing in those kind of homes that come with that kind of technology. And of course, the resale value of the homes, when that stock is offloaded back onto the market, properties that come in with green credentials, of course, command a higher price. The other part that we are seeing more and more of is the larger landlord scale. So preventative maintenance, when you have all appliances connected, all technology connected, which gives the landlord a bird's eye view on what's working and not. Can your repair people turn up to a building knowing exactly what's wrong, what part needs changing, and what equipment they need to bring? That's a huge cost saving for a large landlord. So putting all this together, of course, there's a huge commercial uplift to investing in this technology.
Thank you, Taz. And Mark, is there anything you'd like to add here?
Yes, maybe a little bit. So thank you. So the first point Taz already evaluated on that you can certainly reduce your costs for managing and operating your property tremendously, even more when it's much more automated and much more with the help of digital tools. So you need much more manpower to do that and can also do it much more efficiently. So that's clear. But besides that, there are also options for you as a property owner or property operator to just get new value chains, which you didn't have before. Because with these new technologies, you can start adding smartness as a service to your property. So you can really sell smart home as a service like you sell software as a service. This means you can add a certain amount per month to your rent for the smartness of the apartment. And this works certainly both for build to sell, but even better for build to rent communities. And with the reducing costs of installing that, it's really possible to install it in every single property and every single unit and just unlock it then with this monthly payment. So if a renter decides on doing that, you unlock it and then you charge it monthly. And that's pretty similar to the automotive industry, where you usually have all the new features also built into cars from the beginning onwards. And then you just unlock it from the drivers in a per month or per year or per half year payment. That's pretty normal if you buy a BMW, Mercedes, or Volkswagen or whatsoever. So that's a model which now also works for property operators and property developers. And if you also have like a smart way of distributing your energy and also create and produce your own energy by, for example, with PV, you can certainly also sell this energy to your inhabitants, which is also very, very interesting value chain for property developers and property operators. This needs the fact that it's legally possible, which is not the fact currently in all countries in Europe, but it will get more and more. And as soon as that's the case, then this is very, very interesting for property operators as well. And last but not least, specifically with being able to also upgrade your property very easy, also in a way, not only in greenfield, but also in brownfield, so that you can just install smartness features into your property also afterwards, very, very easy. You can increase the value of your property very much with that, also the resale value. So that's also something which is interesting both for professional and property operators, but certainly also for single home owners who just want to bring smartness into their homes, and with that increase the resale value of their homes moving forward very much. So that's also a very important point from my perspective.
Thank you, Mark. Well, to finish off, I'm going to ask you to take out your crystal balls, because I would like for you to share with us your future predictions of the smart home industry. Deborah, I'm going to start with you. What emerging technologies do you foresee shaping the future of smart homes? And also, how can developers prepare for these advancements?
Well, that's a great question. I think we're going to see more on the importance of AI. And we're hearing about the term AI are all around us right now. What I mean by that is AI being more embedded into the devices and appliances that we're using in the home, really enabling a more enhanced automation and an ability for those devices and those connected systems and applications like smart things to learn from a user's behavior, which will really make a smart home technology and the capabilities much more personalized and much more simple to use, which I think, as we started this conversation, has been a key to the growing adoption of it now and one of the barriers that we've overcome from the past. So that would definitely be one I'd say we're going to welcome and see a lot more of in the technology and in smart home. I think the other piece Mark just touched on to some degree, which is the household and community energy systems, right? Really having the technology for homes to generate and use green energy and to be able for them to share that amongst themselves and reduce their reliance on just a pure kind of national grid type draw. I think that will become increasingly more important and will make some of the things that people are doing and that we've seen households building and investing in around more ways to generate that energy, like solar panels, or more way to conserve it and store it in power walls, as an example, to become more important. So those are two of the spaces I think we'll continue to see more advancements in.
Thank you, Deborah. And Mark, we're coming back to you next.
Thank you so much. So from my perspective, the first thing is going to be a step upwards from smart home just for one single unit, even more to a higher level of a building management system or even a property or community management system. So integrating smart home functions into larger level systems which manage the whole building or even manage the whole community is for me one big point for the future. For both, for the property operators, but also for every single users, because you can add so much additional functions besides the pure smartness of your one single unit. If you combine it with the smartness of the whole building, which is for convenience, like you integrate parking or the elevator or whatsoever into that, and we can control and manage it as well from your property. But also when it goes again into energy, and you have a much more holistic share of energy, management of energy, which can reduce tremendously the costs also for every single user. And this goes even further, like sharing cars, sharing tools, so that you do not have to buy everything. So there is so many options in community management, property management, fully holistically integrated into smart home, which for me is really the future. And we will see these holistic connected communities and buildings, from my perspective, much, much more in the future. And the other big thing is definitely to not only having cost saving as the main driver, but really also go more into energy independence. So now energy is very much driven by saving money, which is totally fine. It also makes a lot of sense. But I think it's even more important to also make your home, but also the whole community you're living in, more independent from the grid, also to be more independent from any changes in grid availability or whatsoever. So whatever we do there is very important from a future-proof perspective, even with more need of grid stability for EV charging and heat pumps and so on. And that's, again, not only something for large communities or for property operators, it's as important for every single owner of a single residential home. And even these owners of single residential homes might want to form communities within their neighborhood just to save money, but also increase the stability of their electrical network moving forward.
And finally, Taz, what would be your predictions for the future?
Well, Deborah and Mark have made amazing, excellent points and predictions on where we see the community of manufacturers and software providers going. And all our focus is always to create products that make the world a better place. And for that to continue to happen, I think the only thing that we need to be doing is the importance of having an open platform. As companies keep on creating more intelligent software to bind everything together and create something which is beneficial to the world, I think an open platform is essential for them to keep on creating that kind of environment. So I think that is a key focus for us as well at Sunset.
Well, it's been incredibly interesting to hear how the smart home market is evolving, and it certainly presents a fantastic opportunity for house builders and housing developers. So thanks to all three of you for taking the time to speak with us about this at Showhome Live.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.